Guys, welcome to FanExpo 2024, back with the Geeking Company. We're trying to interview as many of the comic creators as we can, and joining me today is one of the staples at Canadian comic conventions, is Jay Fosgitt. Jay, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
I'm thrilled to talk with you guys and to be back. This is my 11th year doing the shows out here.
What's the appeal overall, other than obviously self-promoting, getting some people to be familiar with your work? What is it about the conventions that you enjoy coming out for 11 years now?
The number one appeal is I love Canada. I'm actually from the States. I'm from Detroit, and Toronto in particular is my favorite city, so the opportunity to do a convention out here was like a godsend. But this show in particular has been so welcoming to me, as if I was like a local hometown guy, that I either always do well here, or I always have a personal connection, a brand new one, return people. It's like coming home sometimes, so I love it out here.
That's awesome. And for those that are watching that are maybe not familiar with your work, what is some of the key work you've done in the past, and what are you currently working on now?
My current publication is Bodie Troll. It's about a fairy tale troll who wants to be big and scary, but he's too cute and cuddly, so no one takes him seriously. And I self-published that. It had previously been through other publishers, but what I'm most known for is I worked on the My Little Pony comic book for IDW. I've done stuff for Marvel since 2016, mostly cover work and some interior stuff. I've been working for Disney Publishing for the last 6 years doing children's books for them, and a myriad of other things. I've worked for the Jim Henson Company, writing and drawing a Fraggle Rock book for them about 6 years ago. Worked on the Sesame Street comic, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal. A lot of things, I'm not as familiar to people as the stuff I do, but when they find out I did, they're like, I have that issue, so, and I'm fine with the work being more notable.
And this might seem like a silly question, but as far as working on others' IPs that exist and then creating your own thing, where do you fall in that category since you're working on both? What do you prefer?
Well, obviously, I love working on my own IP, but in particular, I use Marvel as an example. The amount of creative freedom they've always given me in almost 10 years of working with them, I love it. I mean, obviously, I don't own the stuff that I do for them. That's just the Marvel situation. But the fact that they're totally comfortable with me drawing Spider-Man in my style, which is to be more cartoony, or maybe three fingers and a thumb, which I prefer over, and things like that. So it's a little of both. I mean, I love doing creator-owned. If I could do nothing more than Bodie Troll in my life, I'd be content. But it's so much fun to play in those famous playgrounds sometimes.
And you mentioned with Bodie Troll now, that is your brand. That's your publishing company. When did that start? What prompted you to go out on your own and try this comic gig on your own?
So Bodie was first published in 2012 through Red 5 Comics, and they did a short run, a 4-issue run, and then when my contract with them was done, I wanted to try a slightly bigger publisher, moved over to Boom Studios. They published a full collection of those previous comics plus some new material, and I was happy with that. And then during the pandemic, that all fell apart because they didn't want to continue it after that. And so I was like, well, that's okay, because I want to re-release that original material to my own specifications under my label, which is Cheeseburger Press. And Volume 2 has been worked on at the same time. So, yes. So Volume 2 is already in the hopper, and that's going to be premiered here probably in March for Toronto Comic Con.
So you are coming back for March?
That's my plan.
Are there any other cons you've got between then and now? Do you do some of this stuff down in the States as well?
Oh my gosh, almost everything is in the States except for this show and Toronto Comic Con, and then I do the Sarnia Pop Culture show. And
I love the Sarnia Pop Culture. It's such a nice little show. I love that show.
Friends with all those guys, so it's an honor to come back and do stuff with them every year. But I'm going to be doing Dragon Con in Atlanta 2 days after I get back from this, so it's rough. I got very little turnaround, got to catch a flight, and New York Comic Con, Granite State Comic Con in New Hampshire, yeah.
And if there was like a dream project that Jay Fosgitt got to work on, if you got to pick an IP that they would just be like, here's the keys, man, run with it, what's the dream project for you?
I want to do a graphic novel of Popeye and just be given free. He's my favorite cartoon character of all time.
I love this so much.
Given a free reign to write and draw Popeye the way I want to. And on King Feature Syndicate holds the keys to that, and they're tight-fisted as far as that goes, but I've gotten to work on him licensed officially once. I got to write and draw a Sunday comic with Popeye, and that was an honor. That was for his 90th anniversary. But yeah, I would like a shot at doing a full graphic novel.
That's very cool. I'm going to ask you one last question before it wraps it up. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Current state of the comic business. It seems to be less people going into shops anymore, less people sort of Where are we at? What's your impression of the current comic book business?
I think right now Kickstarter is the biggest publisher out there. I think more people are doing their own stuff now, which is very important. I love the mainstream stuff, but people got to get out there with their own voice, and publishers aren't always going to allow that. So it's very encouraging that Kickstarter has allowed so many talents to come out there, put their stuff out in the public in almost a bigger way than the publishers would allow. A company like Image is not going to promote your individual book as well as getting it on Kickstarter and having all those eyes on it. It's amazing. So I think that's the future of it. And hopefully those books end up in stores, because I wholeheartedly support retailers. Right. Yeah.
Support your local comic shop, absolutely. If people want to see your work moving forward, Jay, how do they go about doing that?
Go to jayfosgitt.com. I have links to all my social media and Instagram and all of that. So,
guys, Jay Fosgitt, thanks for talking to us today, Jay. We really appreciate you. Stay geeky, everyone.